Hi again. I am Michael Chevy Castronova, business editor at the Gazette. Welcome to our online 2021 Gazette Business Awards series of interviews. Our presenting sponsor this year, once again, is True North Companies. That's the retirement plan consultants and financial advisors organization here in Cedar Rapids. Today, we're going to talk with Mark Butland, Director of Iowa EdTech Collaborative. Mark, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Michael.
And congratulations on the EdTech Collaborative being awarded the 2021 Gazette Business Award for Collaboration. Before we get too far along in our chat this morning, can you tell us a little bit about the Iowa EdTech Collaborative, which also involves, if I've got this right, ICAD, Peridec, Iowa Economic Development Authority, a bunch of groups. What does it do? What actually do you do? What does it do?
Thank you, Michael. Thank you so much for the recognition and the award, and thank you to the Gazette and your volunteers and judges. We really, really appreciate the pat on the back. This is the new venture, and the short answer about what we do is EdTech is Iowa's legacy, and we want to ensure that it's also our future. And that means, how do we build jobs? How do we maintain current jobs? And how do we attract startups and venture capital to fuel Iowa's EdTech industry? And that's what the collaborative is saying that. We're about economic development through EdTech building. You asked about all the folks who are a part of the collaborative, and I'll describe it this way. About 3 years ago, this began as an idea from some players at ACT and Pearson and the Iowa City Economic Development Group, as well as Dan Clay at the University of Iowa College of Education and others. And the idea was, what can we do to capitalize on what Iowa has already in EdTech, especially with regard to assessment. We have a rich history in being a big assessment player in the country, probably the foremost, but then also visualization and STEM content. And the idea was, what can we do to leverage the three of those as they come together? And technology is doing that, right? It's bringing all of those worlds together. And so that began the conversation that led to the underwriting of a study that was conducted by an economy group called Techonomy Partners. And that study was published in 2019. It was called EdTech Opportunity. And essentially it said that Iowa is ripe for the growth that we anticipate to be happening in EdTech over the next few years, and that we don't want to miss the bus. Right. So that's putting a lot of words into the mouth of that report. But essentially that was what launched us. And then on the heels of that, we received about $400,000 in grant funding. We hired the director, which is me, and now we're moving forward.
You mentioned in an interview in the Gazette with business reporter John Steppe, you talked about shared sandboxes. What does that mean? What are you talking about, shared sandboxes?
It's so important for people with big ideas to get together with other people with big ideas. And let's say, for example, you work in the world of assessment. Maybe you do that at Pearson, or maybe you do that at ACT. But how cool would it be to get you together with someone who's working in 3D animation or someone who's working in artificial intelligence? It's the crossing over of these ideas where people realize how we can blend and create new things that solve new problems that we hadn't even considered. So creating a sandbox is just a way to bring people together in a collaborative mindset. And this is really important, Michael. This is a collaboration move. This is not about competition. And the people who are joining the collaborative understand that we're building a big sandbox and there's room for everybody to play. Or if I could switch analogies, we're building as big a pie as we can. And the larger the pie gets, the larger everyone's slice will be, right? So that's the idea behind a sandbox.
And at Iowa EdTech Collaborative, you are the very first full-time director, right? You were at Kirkwood before this, yeah?
Yes, that's right. I was the dean of the Iowa City campus for Kirkwood Community College, and my background is as faculty and administrator in higher education. Prior to this, I also served on on the Higher Education Research and Development Institute as a board member for years, where we vetted technology solutions for higher ed. So this for me was a coming together of a couple of different worlds that I just couldn't resist. I was so excited to be selected to be the first director of the EdTech Collaborative. Prior to me, the heavy lifting had been done by volunteers and by the ICAD team. First, originally by Mark Nolte, and then after he left ICAD, Tom Banta picked up the reins and carried it forward. So big thanks to both of them and the ICAD team, as well as the whole host of volunteers who helped push this along until I came in.
Okay, so in April, this most recent April, Iowa EdTech Collaborative received a grant for $393,184, if I've got that precise to the penny right, from the U.S. Economic Development Administration. That grant is intended to create or retain 463 jobs. Could you walk us through that, please? How will that work? What does that mean exactly?
So the idea is to make sure we are keeping the jobs that we have as best we can in Iowa for EdTech, at the same time attracting new companies and new startups. And Pear Deck is a really great example of a local startup. Some school teachers shared a vision and a mission. They built a product, the timing was right, and it took off. We want more of that, and there's no reason to anticipate we won't get more of that. So building a collaborative means helping people understand what it means to be an entrepreneur, helping them understand the pain points that we're living with in education, and then helping connect them to resources so they can bring great ideas to market and ultimately to maturity. So the grant funds that in a number of different ways. When I think about it, there are 4 broad categories that we're pursuing with the grant funding, and you can ask for greater detail. I'll just give you sort of the broad overview of it. But I have it in my notes here.
So this money, these 463 jobs, this money goes for over what period of time? Is this like in perpetuity? Do you have to spend it within a year, or grants usually have some kind of time frame? Okay.
That's right. This is a 2-year grant, and the 4 areas that it encourages us to pursue as a collaborative is first, legacy collaboration. What we mean by that is companies that have been established in EdTech in Iowa. How do we bring them together to share ideas, to strengthen their collective position in the market? The second thing is, what do we do to assist new startups and people with good ideas? How do we help bring those ideas along, incubate or accelerate those and get them funded and beta tested? The third thing is, how do we build that broader ecosystem? I mentioned a couple of things like capital and incubators and accelerators, mentors. So how do we build out that ecosystem? What pieces are missing that we can bolster? So that's the third area of investigation. And then the fourth and final is concerned with workforce training. Iowa has arguably one of the strongest workforces in the nation, and we want to maintain that advantage. We also want to shop that advantage so that people in other areas of the country understand that this is a great place to hang your shingle. We have very competent, educated folks who are interested in working in this direction. So those 4 things, broadly speaking, are the directions of the grant.
Is it all as exciting as it sounds?
I am so excited. I said this after I had been hired. I told Kate Moreland and the ICAD team, no, I would have volunteered. It's never so exciting.
Okay, Mark, never say that, because someone might take you up on it, and then you'll be there. You mentioned Pear Deck.
That's right.
And just as a little self-promotion, I think we gave Pear Deck a business award in I'm guessing 2019, but it could have been, it's somewhere in that vicinity, but I remember that. So going forward, we're almost into the fourth quarter. Rest of the year, 2022, what do you see for EdTech Collaborative? What do you guys have in the burner?
I'm really excited about a couple of things. One place that I want us to put our flag in the ground nationally is the collaboration or the overlap between EdTech and MedTech. And these are two things that Iowa is known for. Yes. The MedTech industry and EdTech. There's a significant overlap of those two. And by bringing those two together into a sandbox, the ideas that can come from that will be truly unique and will only be possible in a place like Iowa. So one of our big plays is to bring those people together and create communities of practice around EdTech and MedTech to see what kind of innovation we can spur in that area. Again, that's a truly unique thing that could only happen in Iowa. Another thing that I'm excited about is we'll be focusing on mental health in K-12 and how technology might help us leverage some of the resources that we have that could be spread thin. And if you think about what it's like in these rural districts in Iowa, for example, oftentimes it's difficult to get the care that our students might need because that happens at unpredictable times and because oftentimes counselors and other resources are being shared across large distances. Right. This is ripe for technology. So this is an area that we would like to explore, and there are several startups that are moving in this direction that we want to encourage to do more of that moving forward. I'm also excited about the connection between assessment and virtual reality. If you think about assessment in Iowa, our legacy and tradition was paper and pen assessment, paper and pencil assessment. And those days are
number two pencils.
That's right.
Number two pencils, press hard.
That's right. And those days are well behind us now. Thanks to the pandemic, everything is expected to be delivered by virtual internet connections. And so how do we assess whether that's going and whether it's going well, right? So we can be doing assessment of the assessments, sort of a meta assessment level. This is new and cutting edge, and there's a lot of machine learning and artificial intelligence that can take us there. And again, I think that Iowa is positioned uniquely to command the majority of that market interest and market share. The last thing that I'll mention that I'm excited about is, as we think about credentials, the technology of blockchaining that's being used for virtual currencies is a technology that will also help our students and our employers match up skills in a way that everyone's speaking the same language and in a way that's verifiable. So I think it won't be long before we won't have to take someone's word for it because they said it on their resume, that there'll be a competence that they have demonstrated mastery with that will be in their digital wallet that is a blockchain kind of technology. And they would be in charge of that, and they could choose to share or not share whatever that competency is with whomever they want. This technology will completely revolutionize the way we look for jobs, the way we vet candidates, and the way we demonstrate what we claim to know. So those are a lot of exciting things that are happening right now. It's a great time for Iowa to put a lot of emphasis in EdTech. I'll back up to say one more thing about EdTech and this opportunity. In 2019, EdTech was a $75 billion industry, but by 2025, we think it's going to be a $400 billion industry. It's a huge amount of growth. And we want Iowa to get more than its share of that growth proportionally. And even more broadly speaking, education is expected to be a $7 trillion industry by 2025. So there's a lot of money at stake here. And these are high-paying, high quality of life kinds of jobs. So the governor's right, the state is right to be chasing after these. And I couldn't be more excited about this juncture in time for us to be able to make the most of the opportunity.
Very cool. Belatedly, welcome. Welcome to the Iowa EdTech Collaborative. Thank you again, Mark, for taking time to stop by today. Congratulations again. Thanks to True North, our presenting sponsor. And to you watching, please take a look at the other recorded interviews in this 2021 award series conducted by Gazette reporters and me. They're all right here on this very website. And everybody have a great rest of your week. Thank you.